Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We've been born out of conquering a world. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful and we're beautiful and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. But you must stop bowing to those who want to make you a victim. You must become the victor. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, then you are an enemy of the New World Order and Satanism. They want us shut down because we have the Spirit. I'm jacked into the source. I know the secret, and I want to see you empowered. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've done my video talking about Asmongold's apology, but I've gotten many different messages and emails from people that have had a lot of different other questions, a lot of different insights, things for me to cover, things for me to talk about. And one of the main things are people that are upset at Asmongold for apologizing and saying, this guy's a millionaire, he doesn't need to apologize. He didn't need to do it. And here's the thing. I understand where you're coming from. I get it. You look at Asmon, you look at what he has, and you say, that guy doesn't need to do anything. He didn't need to apologize. But I think what a lot of you people don't understand is just the type of pressure that he's under. I'm not excusing the apology. I think the apology was wrong, and I think that ultimately it was a mistake. Because you never apologize to these people. These people are not sincere. These are not authentic actors. You know, you look at people like Hassan, and you're going to tell me that you think that guy has the moral clarity to judge anyone on anything ever? You're going to tell me this guy that supports cop killers and compared a terrorist to Anne Frank and said that America deserved 9/11, that guy is in any sort of position to be adding clarity to a particular issue? No, I think Asmongold's position in the initial was correct, but I don't think that people really understand the type of pressure that Asmongold was likely under internally. I don't think that the external pressure would have necessarily gotten to him, but I think that it was the internal pressure. I'm just speaking my conjecture. It's my hypothetical. I don't have any insider information, but based on the way that he framed that video, I'm guessing he got a lot of pushback from people, probably from his father, from his quote-unquote friends, his business partners. He probably got a lot of pushback from people telling him that you have to conform, you have to apologize, you have to do this, you have to do that. I imagine that there was a lot of pushback from people internally that ultimately moved him to make this decision. And so, I just want to make it abundantly clear that you have to be an exceptional person to withstand that level of pushback, that level of criticism, that level of condemnation. And in that light, I want to take an opportunity to talk about a story in the Bible. I don't know how many of you have heard about the story of Job. Job was an incredibly wealthy man. He was extremely blessed. This is a man that had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 female donkeys, as well as many servants, and he was considered to be the greatest man of all of the East. But this is a guy that worshiped God in his heart. Well, the story of Job is that God was sure that Job was faithful, not because of the things that he had, but because of who he was, what was in his heart. And Satan, being the perpetual shit stirrer, tried to sever Job from God. And so he did this in a number of different ways. He took away his sheep. He took away his camel. He took away his oxen. He took away the donkeys. He took away his kids. Many of his kids were killed. This guy lost everything in the span of minutes. And what did he do? He refused to curse God. He refused to condemn him. He lamented what happened, but he did not curse God. Well, bad things continue to start happening. You know, they continue, and he refuses to curse God. He refuses to relent. His strength of character is seems unbreakable. He's going through a dark time. He laments the fact that he was born. He goes through all of these different things. I mean, he's just at his lowest point, but even in his darkest place, he refuses to condemn God. And it makes Satan furious. It makes Satan furious that he refuses to break. And he does. His wife is telling him, curse God, let this be over, let this end. His friends are telling him, curse God, let this be over, let this end. But he refuses. He takes on anything that comes and is resolute and will not curse God. He cherishes God in his heart. So, after Satan is done, God restores what he had lost. Because he was faithful, because he was true to himself, and because he was that incredible in his conviction and his commitment. That type of person is incredibly rare. When you see somebody like Asmongold, who is an atheist, who doesn't have that faith, who doesn't have that commitment, it's perfectly understandable why internal pressures would push them to do something as just utterly embarrassing and wrong as condemning everyone but the people who were doing the thing that ultimately led you to have to, resign, quote unquote, from the companies and be banned from Twitch. The reality is that the people who got you banned are the people you're trying to kiss the ass of now. The people that got you banned, the people that mass reported you, the people that wish death upon you, those are the people with the Palestinian flags on their bio. And by the way, I'm not swayed by this, oh, well, I had a couple fans who reached out to me and they said, I love you. These people that are pro-Palestine, I mean, these people, look at what they did. Look at what they did to monuments in the U.S. I mean, look at the way they treat other people. And by the way, I want you to understand that the problem here is not Israel. In this particular conflict it is, but their problem is not Israel. Because you take these people with their inferior culture, with their medieval barbaric ideas, and you put them in somewhere else, like Dearborn, Michigan. And they have problems with the people around them. See, this is not a religious fundamentalist problem. No, it's not. There is no such thing as religious fundamentalism. Different religions have different values and encourage different types of behavior. Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a pedophile warlord who encouraged brutality and viciousness and just this archaic, backwards, terrible type of behavior towards other people, towards Jews and Christians. Jews have Moses. He was willing to endure the personal heartache of going against his brother the Pharaoh to save, to lead the people out of Israel. The Jews screwed that one up. Yeah, God, let me just give you Jews a piece of advice. When God uses his power to free you from the pharaohs, don't immediately then start worshiping a golden calf. It's probably not a good idea. I mean, it's just really, really stupid. But Christians have Jesus. Now, what was Jesus? He was a humble carpenter. He was somebody that spread these certain values. Now, Jesus is not the kumbaya, like, hey, let's all sit in a circle and, smoke the peace pipe type of Jesus that you see from a lot of the modern interpretations. No, he actually had principles and values and things that he believed were important to, enforce. Like, I imagine that a lot of people who think that Jesus was like this, hippie that would accept everyone, I bet that they wouldn't know what Jesus' prescription of marriage was. I, I, I bet you would be surprised what Jesus' prescription of marriage was, what he considered to be a sin. So no, Jesus was not just this. Oh, he was the most tolerant guy. No, he liked kids. He thought that children were the inheritors of the kingdom of heaven. He was a good guy without sin, without flaw. He was one of the only humans to live. I say the only human to live without sin. But his message was not one of hurt others or go on these crusades or campaigns necessarily. His thing was, it wasn't, when I say it's love, people misconstrue that. They construe love and tolerance because we in the West don't really have an understanding of love. But it's not degeneracy. It's not that type of love. But just a love for God, a love for your fellow man. You look at the Ten Commandments, and it's all about treating people with basic decency under the tenets of the faith. So yeah, this guy Jesus, he's not like the other religious figures. This is a guy that didn't kill anyone, that wasn't brutal, and was willing to sacrifice everything, even his life, for mankind. So not all religions are the same, not all values are the same. And to pretend that it is and call it religious fundamentalism is just one of the most dishonest, cheap, and pathetic tactics that people do when they want to get themselves out of trouble. But there is a certain problem with a certain subsect of people. And we see that all the time. This isn't anything new. So, I'm sorry Asmongold had to go through that. But what is ultimately clear is that the internal pressure must have been too much for him. And he decided to basically just bow out. Which is what a lot of people would do. And I don't blame him for it. I really don't. Because not everyone can have the level of endurance of somebody like me. And when I say somebody like me, I've criticized channels that are 10 to 100 to 1,000 times bigger than I am. And I've had them do videos that are, not flattering about me. They don't like my content. They don't like what I have to say. Most of their audience doesn't even watch it. They just go to the video and they'll just, spam whatever negativity they want. But never once have I backed down from any of that. And the reason is not because I'm just so stubborn, but because when you fold because things get tough, when you back down, then how much did you really believe in what you were saying? And the reality is that what Asmongold said was correct. He was not wrong. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this Bible story. I want to incorporate more stories in the Bible because the Bible is really just unbelievable when it comes to all of these different stories and lessons. There's so much value there to learn from. The story of Job is about a man who goes through, some of the most difficult things we can imagine, and he still maintains his faith. It's a beautiful thing to watch and behold because that level of strength is incredibly, incredibly rare. And what I would say is The reason why I don't blame Asmongold as much as other people do, and why I'm not upset at him the way that other people are, is because I understand how difficult that decision is. Being the one person to go against everyone, it really does take a level of perseverance and character that somebody who's an atheist like Asmon and exists in that degenerate, disgusting circle of Twitch, I wouldn't expect him to be able to do that. Because it requires a whole lot of internal conviction. Anyway, that does it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.